All right, we have some scouts in the room. The scouts would like to lead us to the pledge of flag open meeting. We'll go on you. All right. Hi. You guys want to lead us? Sure.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming. Okay, so this is a special night in that one of the first things on our agenda is a recognition of a member of the Greater Baldwin Ambulance Corps. And the first responders in our community are amazing. They rush to our worst day and they try to make that better. So I thought it was more than appropriate to recognize this individual, and if you would allow me, I'll read this proclamation on behalf of the town of Lysander and formally present this to Christopher Cullen. And it just reads, whereas Christopher M. Cullen is an EMTP paramedic supervisor at the Greater Baldwin Ambulance Corps, and whereas Christopher has been employed at the Greater Baldwin Ambulance Corps for over 6 years and has demonstrated excellent patient care skills, and whereas Christopher is a mentor for other staff and students, as a go-to person, stays calm, and displays compassion to his patients on what is many times the worst day of their life. Whereas in the month of February 2019, Christopher was dispatched on a call for an expectant mother with twins who was only 29 weeks pregnant, and whereas the mother went into labor at home and Christopher was the lead paramedic that took charge and delivered 2 premature infants, and whereas Christopher and his partner successfully resuscitated both babies, and everyone, including the mother, was transported to the hospital and today are alive and well. And whereas Christopher was nominated by the GBAC's Continuous Quality Improvement Committee and was selected Advanced Life Support Provider of the Year for CNY EMS, which is a 5-county region. And whereas at this year's New York State Vital Signs Conference on October 26, 2019 in Buffalo, Christopher was honored and presented with the New York State ALS Provider of the Year Award. Now therefore be it resolved that a very select few have earned and received this award, and that this is a first for the Greater Baldwin Ambulance Corps. And therefore be it resolved that I, Joseph P. Saraceni, Supervisor of the Town of Lysander, along with the Lysander Town Board, do hereby recognize and congratulate Christopher M. Cullen for his expertise and professionalism in protecting the lives of the residents of the Town of Lysander.
Mom is here.
Is the mom here?
Yes. Emily. Yeah. Emily and her husband are here.
One of the two.
Come on up. That's awesome. Awesome. Hey. Congratulations.
Thank you very much for doing this.
Once again, let's hear it for on the agenda is a presentation by the Spray Park Committee. We can invite you up. A representative. Tony,
Can I say a couple things first?
sure.
So thank you for giving me the time to speak tonight on behalf of the Spray Park Committee. As most of you know, we're a volunteer group of moms, and unfortunately the weather made it so the moms have to be at some band concerts and stuff like that tonight, so I'm flying solo. But I'm very honored to speak on behalf of our entire committee. When we came together 2 years ago, our committee was tasked with a few things that became the pillar goals for our group. To educate the public on the Spray Park project, to engage the public on the project, to get people to the park, and to raise a little bit of money along the way. And as we near the close of 2019, and we reflect on the last 2 years of work we have done, our committee is in agreement that we have succeeded in these goals. Through our partnership with the town, we have created a strong brand for the Spray Park through media, merchandising, and event marketing that brought it all together. Two standout examples are grand opening day. We worked together to put on an event that brought over 1,000 kids through the gates of the park, with our clickers counting over 3,000 kids visiting the park in just 1 month of opening. And this year's Park at Dark brought in the most attendees in a single event in recent history of the town, with nothing but positive feedback and people telling us they can't wait for us to do it again next year. So with phase 2 funding secured and people using the facility, giving it positive reviews and feedback, we feel that it's time for our committee to move on. We have some other things that we can work on and some greater things that we can do for the entire community. So tonight we'd like to present a check for $7,000 to be used for phase 2 enhancements to the Park and Recreation Department on behalf of the committee and every single person that has supported the park. Before I do so, I would be remiss if I didn't say a few thank yous to the two main people that kept us going, Tony and Joe. Your vision, guidance, leadership, trust, and support made it easy for us to take the ideas that we had and bring them to life, and to be part of such just a wonderful creation in our community. To the board, Pete, Bob, and Bob. Without your votes and support, this wouldn't have happened. And of course, Al, the backbone of physically bringing the park to life, so thank you. I adore the board's passion for parks, and I love hearing you all speak about the benefits of a park when there's a thriving community around it. So I have been able to witness these effects firsthand through this project, and I know that I'll be an advocate for parks for the rest of my life, so thank you. I'd like to take just another minute, since this is Joe's final board meeting, on behalf of our entire committee, just to say thank you for your service to our town, for the ideals and morals for which you stand, and the legacy that you're leaving behind. You've shown us that there's nothing more important than community and family. Through the projects that you've championed and the things that you've brought to our town, there will be positive ripple effects for years to come. We hope you know how much we respect and admire you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. So I'll say a couple words. I was gonna mention this during my comments, but since we're on topic now, I want to thank you, Kim, and the whole committee. This was a project that I knew from the very beginning was going to be great for our town, and no one knew it more than your group, and championed it all over the place. The hours and hours that your group dedicated to promote the facility, to raise money, is a great legacy. And every great project needs a group like that. And that group just did an outstanding job. And I'm proud that this project brought us together as friends, and I look forward to working on future projects with you. So thank you. Okay, so at this point in the meeting, we update the audience on any additions or deletions to the agenda. We typically do that during a work session, which is held for about an hour before this meeting. And we do have a request by our engineer that we table item D, because he's still doing research in that area.
Got a new project, Mike Pencil.
Yep, so there's an opportunity to save some money, so we're not going to act on that right away. In item E, I don't have a crystal ball, so I don't know who's going to push the motion and second it, so we can take Councilor Gerasi and Alice out of that equation. Other than that, we've got school district, we have the Canton Woods. I think that's everything, right? Okay. All right, on the agenda tonight, we also have a public hearing. And it's about a local law to amend the Lysander Town Code, sections 270-9I and section 320-81A. And at this time, Dina, if you could read the proof of publication for that.
The legal notice was published in the Post Standard on December 12, 2019. Please take notice that a public hearing will be held by the Town Board of the Town of Lysander on Thursday, December 19, 2019, at Lysander Town Hall, 8220 Loop Road, Baldwinsville, at 7 p.m. to hear those for or against a local law to amend the Lysander Town Code, sections 270-9I and 320-81A as follows. Amendment to zoning, section 320-81, cash in lieu of amenity or bonus. If the town board finds that a community benefit is not suitable on site or cannot be reasonably provided, the town board may require a cash payment in lieu of the provision of the amenity or bonus. These funds shall be placed in a trust fund to be used by the town board exclusively for amenities specified in these provisions. Payments shall be made by the applicant prior to the issuance of any permit or construction activities. Second, amendment to subdivision of land, section 270-9I. If the planning board conditionally approves the final plat, the applicant is not entitled to immediately file the plat with the county clerk, but must first fulfill any conditions set forth by the planning board. Upon fulfillment of these conditions and the payment of all fees and deposits, including fees required by section 270-16A herein, the chairman of the planning board, at the direction of the board, may endorse the map and it may be filed. Please take further notice that the environmental significance of said proposed local law has been reviewed by the town board of the town of Lysander, incident 2, and is part of said public hearing. Copies of said proposed local law and amendments are available for review at the office of the town clerk. By order of the town board of the town of Lysander, dated December 5th, 2019.
Thanks, Tina. All right, can I get a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll move that.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the local law? Is there anybody in the audience wishing to speak against? Okay, brief history, don't typically speak, but there's a lot of people staring at me wondering what this is all about. We realized, we did an audit, we realized that approximately $60,000 in lieu of parks fees were in arrears over the last 20 years or so. And it's not, we're not pointing the finger at any one person or group, but the fact that that wasn't spelled out specifically in our code, we're going to blame that on the code, and this is correcting that. So it would be against the law to sign final plat approval without these fees being paid, so that hopefully in the future we'll never miss these fees again. That's pretty much what it is in a nutshell. All right, hearing no comments, can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll move it.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. All right, citizens' comments. This is a time during the meeting where we allow residents or attendees to speak at the mic. There's a 5-minute max, and we just ask that we avoid politics or personnel matters. So, if you want to come on up to the mic and state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Ralph Sieber. I reside at 100 La Madre Way, town of Baldwinsville, village of, town of Lysander, village of Liverpool. I've been a voting inspector for 20 years. The last 10 probably right here at Lysander Town Hall. This past general election, me and my fellow inspectors worked over 17 hours here. It was quite busy. I was happy to report it was busy. It rained most of the day here in the town of Salina. I don't think I was through. I understand it didn't rain in the town of Van Buren that day. We were busy and we weren't able to get out of the building unless we walked outside. And so here we were stuck for 17 hours without anything to eat, any snacks, no apples, no grapes, no crackers and cheese. I was able to run to downtown to get pizza for all of us to last. Seems like in previous administrations or whatever, someone would bring us something to snack on. Maybe it's not in the budget, I don't know, but the next administration would think about this. I know on behalf of the other inspectors, I would appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Dina, how's that typically handled in the past?
I'd like to say something, and I completely agree with you. And I think that you should have absolutely been provided with snacks and food and that kind of thing. And I'm just going to give you a little example of an election that I ran in May 2 years ago. I purchased sandwiches and wraps and salads and chips and coffee and drinks, and I spent about $120. And the election inspectors were absolutely thrilled. When I went to put in a voucher to be reimbursed, I was denied that. It came out of my own pocket. So at this point, I think it comes out of everyone's pocket. Like the town wouldn't be able to pay because it would be like the taxpayers were paying for your meal. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? So
I was hoping that maybe the doors would be open so we could get to the break room.
I wish somebody had said something or come to, I mean,
We
you know,
tried the doors, they were all locked.
could you have walked around maybe to the front?
Yep, we wanted to walk out in the rain, and I didn't really care to do that.
Okay, Ralph, I've known you for years, and I've made a note of this. This whole board has heard you loud and clear. And we'll find a way to provide refreshments so that that doesn't happen again. And I apologize for that.
Thank you.
I'm very glad you brought that up, thank you.
Anyone else?
My name is Beth Healy. I reside at 8162 Mariner Trail in the town of Lysander, and I'm here to represent Scout Troop 80, Scout Troop 80G, and Scout Cub PAC-289.
Brian Brunden's Scoutmaster of Troop 80 Boys and Assistant Scoutmaster with the Troop 80 Girls. We just recently had the girls come into the scouting community. We're very happy for that. And this young gentleman here.
Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm a member of Troop 80 Boys, and
Welcome.
I'm Gabriella Walker, and I'm a member of Troop 80G.
Awesome. It's good to hear that, is this the first Boy Scouts girl scouts or scouts?
Yes, yes. We're the first in Baldwinsville to have girls in with boys.
Excellent,
And
excellent,
we
thank
reached out to
you.
the Cicero area, have girls come in because we're the first troop in Baldwinsville for that.
Pioneer.
Excited about it. Yeah,
Awesome.
truly.
And shameless plug, Troop 80 is celebrating 95 years of continuous service to the town of in the Baldwinsville School District this year.
Yeah.
So 95 years. I'll say.
5 years.
That's awesome.
So, the Cub Scouts made a little present for outgoing Supervisor Saraceni. And we have, some presents for outgoing Supervisor Saraceni and Town Councilor Gerasi, if you wanna come get those.
Alice.
Oh, Ellis, sorry, I'm sorry. My fault. So, presents, do you want us to just?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so let me just describe what they are.
Okay,
The Cub Scouts made signs for you, little cards.
awesome.
And then we have, in Troop 80, we have a tradition called the Frozen Chosen. And usually to get this, you have to sleep in a lean-to in the winter.
In February.
Yes.
I've come close to that.
Some of us last year jumped in the river for the polar plunge.
I've done that.
And some people slept at Fort Niagara.
Fort Niagara, up in Buffalo, it was 19 degrees outside, and it was 17 inside.
So we would like to present these gifts to you, and thank you both for your service to the community.
Well, thank you. I'll come to you. Welcome. Interesting fact, my grandfather is an Eagle Scout from Troop 80.
Excellent.
So we have a shared history.
Good history of the community.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for your service.
Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to make a comment?
Excuse me, ma'am, could you flip the switch on the mic for me? The switch right on the top of the mic?
Right on top. Yep.
A little bit lower down towards the board.
There you go. There you go.
Thank you.
Now we got started.
I know all the board very well, and I don't know very many people here, and I'm Norma Newman from, I really live in Pulaski, at Sandy Pond now, but I was a resident of the town of Lysander for over 50 years, from the Wards and Beebe's, if anybody know who they are. I'm here to thank this board on behalf of the 3 public cemeteries left in the town of Lysander. That would be Jacksonville, Plainville, and Lysander. You have definitely saved the Lysander Cemetery. We have applied, and for 4 years, I believe, we have gotten money towards helping these cemeteries so that they don't have to turn them over to the town, which would cost them at least $30,000, $40,000 more than what they are giving us, but it is all used. We finally have roads in the Lysander Cemetery for the first time just about ever, and I cannot tell you how much I appreciate all you have done, because the board before you didn't want to give us anything. So I'm just so very, very thankful. All of us are. We appreciate it. And I'm sorry that all of you won't be here again, because I don't know what will happen in next year, but we'll hope for the best. And I know it's in the budget, and I appreciate all of the people that do pass the budget and think that it's a wonderful thing, because it is our history, and it is very, very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else wishing to make a comment?
Fred Birch, Plainville Road. I wanted to thank Norma too. I'm one of the caretakers at the Lysander Cemetery, so I've donated quite a bit of my time there and worked on those projects, and in fact, reduced the price of when I dig for burial and stuff so that they can have more money stored, but I appreciate your efforts there. Also, I wanted to congratulate Kim and the people involved with the spray park on those efforts. I think that's fantastic what you did, and appreciate your vigor. And you know, I know I was the one with the petition and stuff, but I had an issue with the funding, not with it in the community, so congratulations to you guys.
Thank you.
And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is I feel a little bit dissatisfied through the 4 years of this board with the approach that you've had at the town board meetings, where a citizen who might have issue with the board is prevented from asking questions about that because you label it as a personnel issue or something like that. And that's just, by my recollection, something in the past with 2 or 3 previous boards that I know that I routinely had asked questions about, you know, whenever I had an issue. So I'd like to say to those that are still remaining and going to be here in the future that you might want to consider, you know, changing that type of policy. And the question I have asked you is, if I had a question of a member of the board or a decision that the board's, where is the proper time and forum to ask that question but at a town board meeting? What would you suggest?
Writing a letter.
Writing a letter to the supervisor?
Writing a letter to, or any one of the board members would be appropriate.
So, and then I would get a response in the form of a letter?
Well, we've been pretty liberal with, typically, we're not even required to offer comments. Not only do we offer.
Okay, well then, if I were not to ask a question but make a statement, that would be something that would be okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
but wait, let me finish. We go beyond that.
Okay,
Not only do we allow for comments, but we regularly entertain questions.
okay. I'm going to write to this board and ask them what actions, if any, this board has taken or intends to take with respect to the fact that yesterday a sitting member of this board accepted a plea offer in the village of Baldwinsville on a criminal harassment charge which involved the physical and verbal abuse of a female resident of the town of Lysander. And I'd like to, and I'm also going to ask if anybody sitting on this board has asked that member of this board to resign out of respect of the town. Because in my opinion, by taking zero action on this issue, the board is giving an inference that that type of behavior is acceptable for employees of the town of Lysander. And I don't think that that is. And finally, just because people might have a few friends in high places or you might be politically connected doesn't mean that you are above the law. And just because you were successful in getting this swept under the rug doesn't mean that you didn't do it. I thank the board for the time.
Any other comments? Okay. Town board comments. Rowan?
Mr. Supervisor, as I said at a previous meeting, less than 3% of American citizens decide to run for office. You've run for office as a village trustee and as a town supervisor. I just want to thank you for your service to the town. We haven't always agreed on every issue, but you've treated this entire board as a professional. We've had a great time together, and I think we've done an awful lot as a board. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Rowan.
Yeah, first I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight. I'd like to address Bob Ellis first. Bob, I gotta tell you, you've done great things for this town.
Thank you, sir.
You calm, reflective presence, and we've been through the ringer for 4 years, in one degree or another, but you always, always stay calm, make worthwhile decisions, and you're a person, you know, you don't talk a lot, but when you do, I listen. I've got to tell you, and I respect that. So, you know, it's been an honor working with you, and I'm going to miss you on this board. Joe, the guy who put sidewalks in the village, the guy who brought the Oktoberfest back to Baldwinsville, the guy who with his knuckle-headed brother, decided it'd be a great idea to cut a hole in the ice in the Seneca River and get people to jump in and raise thousands upon thousands of dollars for local charities. I can't say enough, Joe. And you have always, always done what is right for your community. And it has been my honor to work with you. I can't say enough about it. It's the truth. You've always, always done exactly what you thought was good for your community, and for that, I applaud you. Thank you, and you told me this would be fun. You should do this. Come on, Pete. This will be fun. Well, it has been. You're right, it has been. And I'm glad that you're talking me into this. And again, thank you very much, Joe. Both of you.
Thanks for serving, Pete.
I'd like to do this in 2 parts. The second part will be my comments, but I'll save them for the second part. There's a few people that are going to be speaking tonight, and I would like to read what I have received from these people. The first one is from our Congressman John Katko, the Congress of the United States. And I'd like to just read this. It's, Dear Supervisor Saraceni, I write to thank you for your public service to the town of Lysander. Thank you for your important work overseeing improvements to our community's infrastructure and enhancing recreation in the town of Lysander. Your efforts to improve the effectiveness and responsiveness of the town of Lysander government by forming the Citizens Committee to seek input from local residents is truly admirable. As a sign of my respect for your public service, please accept the enclosed certificate honoring your tenure. I commend your accomplishments as supervisor and wish you the best in your future endeavors. Sincerely, John M. Katko, Member of Congress. And what he said was this, and I'll submit this as part of the record, a certificate of congressional recognition in recognition of Joe Saraceni, Lysander Town Supervisor, 4 years of service, dated December 18th, 2019. So,
Thanks.
And thank you, Congressman. The Village of Baldwinsville, as you know, we're all about cooperation between the three municipal governments, obviously us in the town of Lysander, the town of Van Buren. We just talked about them there's an item on the agenda, this fantastic thing called Canton Woods that we also support and contribute to, and then the Village of Baldwinsville. Village of Baldwinsville happens to have their board meetings the same right now at the same time we do, but I've got this letter from their town engineer, Steve D'Arcangelo, and I'd like to read that as part of the record and that's submitted. Joe, I would like to take this opportunity to both congratulate and thank you for your service. As town supervisor, thank you for your dedication and passion in undertaking what I know can be a thankless and frustrating job. Congratulations on all the accomplishments that you have had during these past 4 years. I am uniquely positioned to know the hard work and attention you have given to the many issues facing our town. That unique perspective also gave me the insight to know how you have dealt with each issue. Good luck in your future endeavors, Steve D'Arcangelo. And having spoken to Steve, I know he speaks for the entire village board in that respect. And before I turn it over to Dina for a couple of other things, let me just say my piece. There's 2 people leaving this town board, and I'm going to miss them. This guy, Bob Ellis, literally I have known and literally worked with for 41 years. when we both started out at Beaver Lake in 1978. Actually, he was there already. I think you started out when you were 12 years old. And then we worked our way through the county park system and did some spectacular things. And then I actually talked this guy into running for the town board 4 years ago, and I'm so glad we did, because what Bob has brought to this group is an expertise in infrastructure and equipment, motorized equipment and others that none of us really have. I know I can speak for myself in that respect. So it's always good to have that expertise, because that's what Bob did for county parks. I'm going to miss you, Bob. And the work that you did in being the intermediary between the highway department and this town board, I can't think of a better person to do that, because you just don't lose your cool. And in that respect, I think that was an essential ingredient for that work. Thank you. Joe, you know, I think I talked you into running for this meeting. It's all my fault, folks. But Joe had basically come off being the mayor. He had taken a sabbatical for a few years, and I said, Joe, it's time to get back in the game. And unfortunately, I think for all of us, he chose to run 4 years ago and was elected in a landslide as town supervisor. Don't want to besmirch anybody before us, but you know, this town was in serious trouble 4 years ago financially, and just in terms of the attitude and the approach that the board had taken prior to this current board with the community, I thought needed to be improved. And I can't think of a better person in terms of personality. I mean, there's a person that always has a smile on his face. I mean, the proverbial is always, the glass is always half full. There's always a way to make things better. That's this guy. And you've actually inspired me so many ways, because I think I'm positive for the most part. But there's times I get down and Bob, no, we'll fix it, we'll fix it. And that's Joe. And, you know, I'm looking forward to the new board. I hope we can continue that spirit of positiveness and working together. Again, we're not always going to agree, but guess what? We're not supposed to agree. I think you'd be in serious trouble if we agreed all the time as a community, because you don't want that. You want some disagreement. You want some conversation. Having said all that, this town is in so much a better place because of the work you've done for the last 4 years, and I am so grateful for that on a personal and professional basis. So thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate that.
And I don't know if Dina, if you want to continue this, just pick on this.
I've always wanted to do this.
You want to state your name and address?
Is this thing on? Joe, I have a letter here from Senator DeFrancisco that I would like to read for you, and this will be on the record. Dear Supervisor Saraceni, it is my understanding that this evening you are presiding over the last town board meeting of your tenure as Lysander Town Supervisor. I wanted to extend my best to you as you go on to your next adventure. It was a pleasure working with you when we served together. You always had the best interests of the citizens of Lysander at heart as Town Supervisor, and you were never shy in seeking state support on issues that affected your constituents.
Drove them crazy.
Importantly, when you advocated for and received funding, I was always confident that you would get the job done. Sometimes some didn't agree with you. Believe it or not, sometimes some didn't agree with me either. But find comfort in the fact that the only people who don't get criticized are those that don't do a damn thing, and you did great things in Lysander. Hopefully you will continue in public service. More than ever, we need good people to serve us. Very truly yours, John DeFrancisco. Senator John DeFrancisco, retired. This is from Village Mayor Dick Clark. When I think of Joe Saraceni, I think of his dedication and his passion for the people of Baldwinsville and the surrounding area. His blood is a little redder due to his love for Beeville. I, for one, will miss his willingness to try and go a step beyond what is called for us to make our community a better place to live. Well done, faithful servant and my good friend. Your work is not done. And this is from your town clerk, Dina Falcone. Joe, as you know, I love to write. I have never had a problem putting pen to paper until I decided to write you a note to wish you well in the future. It is with a heavy heart that I write this because I never really thought that I would be saying goodbye to someone I enjoyed working with. Thank you for appointing me in 2016. Thank you to the board for appointing me. Run for office, it'll be fun. I am grateful for your many kindnesses and your unwavering support during all the years that I worked with you. You care about the residents in Lysander, and I know that will never change. People say that things happen for a reason. I believe this wholeheartedly, and I know that there are greater things in store for you in the future.
Thanks.
Norma, one quick thing. So you thanked the board for our support for the cemeteries. There's one board member in particular who deserves that thanks, and that is Bob Ellis.
Yes, it is. I've thanked him personally, and I'm sorry afterwards I forgot.
I just wanted to.
He just was the go-between with the board that helped a lot and helped get things done, yes.
I just wanted it on the record because
Okay.
he was phenomenal. And
Yes.
he's been the reason that the cemeteries have received the support.
And gotten help when they needed it to do certain things, which we're very thankful for.
Very well.
I guess by now you realize my term is expiring end of the year. This is my last meeting. I wanted to say out loud what an honor and what a privilege it is to serve as a board member for the town of Lysander. It has been a privilege. The staff, the staff that is here that works for the town of Lysander is top shelf. I have never worked with people that know their stuff. The town is very fortunate to have them. And gentlemen, it has been an honor to work with you guys. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you, Bob, for sure.
It's the most I've said in 4 years.
So I've got just a few comments. I just want to start out by thanking everybody. I want to start out by first thanking my family. The newly electeds that will be taking these chairs in January, you will learn quickly that politics has a way of permeating that family structure. My advice to you is do your best to prevent that from impacting your family. The pressures up here, and the decisions that we make, and the criticisms that you get sometimes, try to compartmentalize those. My wife is a saint, and the reason why I maybe come across as so peaceful is because if I ever said what I wanted to say, sometimes my wife would wail on me. So thank you, Teresa. Thank you to my children. Oftentimes, this job requires evening work, and I'm unfortunately having to miss games or scouting meetings or any number of things. So thank you to my family. Thank you to my mom and dad and my sister and my brother and my grandmother and my aunt and much of my family's here in the audience, because they've, over the last 15 years, probably had their fill of political discussion around the table, and that is about to come to an end. And I think the discussions, when we reflect, will be positive, just because of the work that we've been able to accomplish over 15 years. And we're a positive family, and we don't dwell on the negatives. So thank you to my family. I want to thank the staff here in the town. It's been mentioned, it's worth reiterating that the staff that work here is amazing. It's a skeleton crew. And the reason why we're able to do so much with so few is because they always help each other. During tax time, the assessor's office might lend a person. If we need the PAC envelopes, the crew comes running into the conference room, and we could be in there for hours just packing envelopes. We just help each other here, and that I'll always remember that team working with this team here. I want to thank the elected officials. I don't care if you're a Democrat or if you're a Republican, if you like the town of Lysander and you're willing to help, I like you. And they've been kind to us. The relationships over the last 15 years that I've formed have, I think, benefited us in the last 4, and hopefully going forward will continue. Senator DeFrancisco is a great mentor. Will Barkley's a good man. He steps up for us. Just to the new board and to the board that's going to remain, don't hesitate to get out and ask for help. There are going to be problems in our town that we can't handle ourselves. Ask for help. That's what they're for. That's what they're there for. You know, to Bob Ellis specifically, we're both departing at the end of this month, and I really appreciated your demeanor. I'm a passionate guy, and sometimes my emotions get the better of me, and you have this ability to look at me. I never want to play poker against you. Absorb the comments, and then offer clear, concise, professional advice. And that doesn't just happen. That comes from years of public service, and I thank you for that. You brought so much to this board, and it's been an honor serving with you. To this board as a whole, one of the reasons why I decided to run was because I thought the representation on this board wasn't a good representation of who we were as Lysander residents. There was a lot of arguing. I didn't see much of a team aspect in here. And from day one, we haven't always agreed. And on some very important issues we haven't agreed, but we've always respected each other. And I'm sure that will continue for the next administration. Just a couple things that I'm really proud of. And again, this is a team effort. Nothing that I've done up here was done in a vacuum. I am no more powerful than anybody else on this board. I'm one of 5. I happen to run the meetings, and I happen to work here full time. But I can't do anything unless this team is supportive of it. I've always respected that. So thank you. Thank you for your patience with me. Thank you for allowing me to run, but not run in the wrong direction. And I need to point out another person specifically, actually 3, sorry. I want to thank Anthony Rivazigno. I remember when I was elected, I sat down with you a couple weeks before I took office, and I said, I'm going to think outside of the box often. Just don't let me get in trouble. And you allowed me to do that. Tony Rivazigno is the type of attorney, I would say he's self-deprecating, but he doesn't look for fights. He'd rather avoid a fight. He's level-headed. He's reminds me a lot of an attorney I worked with, Ron Carr, in the Village of Baldwinsville. Just a great man to work with, so I thank you. I want to thank our engineer, Al Yeager. You know, a lot of what we've been able to accomplish as a town is because of the hours that Al puts in as our engineer. I may have an epiphany looking out my beautiful window on Route 370 about a project or a concept, but nothing happens unless I sit down with Al Yeager and vet it through him first. You're a great sounding board. You've got a great technical mind. The reason why we raise so much money through grants is because you're unbelievable grant writing. Your knowledge going back 2 administrations now over the last 6 years is amazing. He knows where all the bodies are buried. So, Al, not only have you made me, but you've You've made this board look good countless times, and you treat the town of Lysander like it's your own. So I want to thank you. I want to also thank David Rowley, our comptroller. He's got 28 years under his belt. He's kind of the policeman that watches over the money. And it's different. It was a lot more different than I thought. I thought, well, I was mayor, I was a CEO of a village. It's got to be very similar in the towns, and it's not. It's not. The budgets are different. The way you have to form districts for services is different. And for the first year, David was very patient with me because, again, I have a habit of wanting to run a million miles an hour. He never said, no, you can't do it. He just said, you can do it, but you got to do it this way. It was never adversarial. I always enjoyed my time with you. I'm sure I spent more time than you would have liked in your office with me. I thank you for that. I'll never forget it. And thank you for your service to the town of Lysander. And Dina, Dina's been with me for a couple years. The town clerk's office is an independently elected office in the town. She doesn't work for me. She doesn't work for this board. She works for you, the taxpayers. And any time that she decides to give to me is out of the kindness of her heart. And she's never, ever turned me down. Whether it was to review something that I was crafting, I always asked her about her experiences in Senator DeFrancisco's office, how things were handled. She always gave me great ideas. And Dina, you're an awesome clerk. And you got a bright future here in Lysander. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Joe.
And I got to mention Tony. Tony, when I was elected, I sat down and talked to all the department heads, and I sat down with Tony and what's going on in parks. And he gave me the rundown, and one of the things that we came across was the playground program, and Tony's he's as passionate as I am. So we've had some very passionate conversations, and he defended that program to the very end. Unfortunately, when you've got numbers in the teens attending a program and you're spending a lot of money on, that was a cut we had to make. We shelved those dollars, and I promised him, I said, Tony, we're going to come up with something for the park, and we did. And for Tony to have worked so hard, if you look at the activities in the park, we did a pivot. It was an outdoor-related pivot. We wanted kids outside. We wanted kids away from game councils. We wanted families meeting each other in the park like we used to do as kids. And Tony took that challenge and ran with it. We have little kids, big trucks. Thousands and thousands of people go to that event. That's no exaggeration. We have trucks from Gypsum and the Village, and we have fire trucks. I mean, what kid doesn't like a fire truck? And we got that event. We've got an awesome spray park, and with just 2 full-timers in parks, he runs all of programming in parks and still managed to work with us to get the spray park finished. You're a hot shot. Spray park committee, I mentioned you. We couldn't have done it without you. Very motivational. You helped us weather some criticism there, and you're a bright spot. And I can't wait to work with you guys again. We're not going anywhere. Just a couple other things. This needs to be said. The incentive zones. You guys, I'm not going to bore you with details, but a big part of when we look at new development is now looked through this prism. And it's a new way of looking at new developments, and it's called incentive zoning. The model that we don't want to replicate is the model of Clay, where you see homes, cookie cutter homes, as far as the eye can see, and where development is embraced, I think sometimes without looking at the future costs of infrastructure. I think we benefited from not seeing that huge growth spurt over the last 20 years. We've taken a step back. crafted some language in the club, specifically incentive zoning. We were able to navigate the first two incentive zone projects as a relatively young board. I think the senior members on the board had 2 years on us. And so we inherited this. It's imperfect legislation. We corrected some of it here. There's still some more tweaks that are coming down the road. Basically what incentive zone does is it protects open space first. So a developer comes and says, I want to build 300 homes on this property. All right, well, in order to do that, you can do that, or you can build just as many on half the space, but if you want to do that, you're going to have to provide some benefits to the town. And I want to give you a perfect example of how that worked. Collington Point is a brand new development off of Patchett Road. It was a pleasure working with Mr. Alberici. He's a great builder. We sat down with a board that was made up of myself, Bob Gerasi, our engineer, and representatives of our planning board to determine what does the town of Lysander need in order to consider the benefits being offered by this developer. And in the end, we had negotiated, David, $475,000.
We got $270,000 payment, and then for the Patchett Road work.
All right, so okay, we'll break it out. $270,000 to widen Patchett Road to accept more traffic that this development was going to put on Patchett Road. That was one. The other one was it 5,000 a lot?
9,000.
Yep.
$1,000 a lot for each sewer, right?
Yep. So then, for every home, there's 85 or 84 homes that are going to be built. We get $1,000 per lot to go towards future sewer expansions in the town. And then we also get, in lieu of parks fees, which we would normally get, and we kept a pond. And so, now, there's a development that was built brand new, had an impact on our community. Take the same development, almost identical density, it's the new development in Indian Springs. Didn't get any money. We got homes and we got additional tax revenue, but to the residents that already lived in Indian Springs, that were going to accept more traffic on their 30, 40-year-old roads, just think about what we could have negotiated if we had that in place for that new development. So, we've done so much on this board, and there's nothing that I could have done alone. And so, with that, I'm not going anywhere. I wish the new board all the best. I'm not going anywhere. If there's any questions about anything that we had going on, please reach out. I thought, like you say, I thought I knew a lot when I'm coming from a mayor spot. And David, just be patient. be as patient as you were with me, and we'll all be fine. So, again, thank you to the town of Lysander that provided me the honor to serve for the last 4 years. I'll never forget it. Okay. Can I get a motion to adopt the minutes of the previous meeting?
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Department head reports. Tony?
Start with me?
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you. I know this is your last meeting, and I just want to say thank you for those passionate talks in your office. I didn't always win, but we came to an understanding, and I always appreciated that. And thank you for all your support. Thank you for challenging my department. That pivot was huge, and I look out in the audience here and see the ambulance corps that participates in the Little Kids Big Truck event. I see Troop 80 sitting out here, and they participate to the camp out, the Big Truck Day, and being part of the park and Eagle Scout projects. To the Spray Park Committee, I can't say thank you enough to you girls and everything you did, and the families that were put on the back burner for 2 years to help push this through, and bringing them to meetings and having them run around, and the money that you did raise with everything that was going on. And I want to say, just as a friend and everything in my department, thank you so much to you guys. But to you personally, thank you for everything and the service that you provided and doing that. And to Mr. Ellis, you know, I look forward to our next step in forming this park committee and what we can do and the great things that are coming. I know we had a meeting here shortly into the board. We had our first Parks Committee meeting. We invited 20 people and we had probably close to 16 people attend out of 20. So it was nice to see the people that were coming out, all from BISA to Pop Warner to local businesses to residents that use the park, and it's nice to have a committee. We haven't had one. I think the last time we said was 2016 when you took office. We stopped having this committee, and now we're looking at bringing it back and bringing new things. We are in the public eye, and it's nice to have be there and now do nice things and keep that ball rolling in that right direction. So thank you for that challenge, and we are doing nice things, so I appreciate it. Just, you mentioned at the last board meeting of finding money and going after money, and I just want to let the board know, just last week, David came into my office and presented me a check from the Family Youth Services. And before that, we were getting this check every time we ran our summer playground program. Well, 2 years we've stopped running it, and they allowed me to submit in for programming, that we could submit this money in for programming, and I did. I put it under the GEMS program, and I put everything in and submitted a receipt, and David walked in with $2,700 something from the Youth and Family Services for providing programs. We got it under the GEMS Camp program. So that's found money that we didn't expect to have. We just went out there and we filled out the application and sent it, and $2,000 came rolling in. So that was nice to see that.
It's out there. Thanks.
Again, looking out here and seeing all the people, it's nice to have that support and the community support. And again, our department couldn't do it without everybody's support. And we're looking for great and better things coming down the road. And it starts with little things like getting a purchase of a truck. We looked at trucks, we put the truck offer in, and it should be here by April, so that you guys know. So little things like that make a huge difference, and we're glad to be part of that fleet program, and hopefully we can stay in the positive of our equipment. And the next thing that we're going to be looking at is our mower, and we're going to send a mower down in auction, and hopefully whatever we get in return, we'll have another mower by when the park opens in April too. So guys, thank you for everything. I appreciate it. And Joe, thank you for your service. Good luck.
Thank you,
Thank
Tony.
you, Tony.
Tony?
Well, as a lawyer, you know, we always like to speak, but I'm going to make this very short and simple. It has been a pleasure working with you. And, you conduct yourself in a very professional manner. You've done great things here. I've been doing this for 5 years. So I've had a lot of experience and a lot to compare you with. And you're right out there at the top. Great job.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks. Al?
You know, I really don't have any news to report, but I really, truly appreciate the service that you and Bob have given to me and the community, and you truly have adopted a teamwork approach in government and with the employees that, you know, is admirable, and I can't say enough about it. I've worked in a lot of different municipalities as a consultant, and the outlook and teamwork that you put forward, I've never seen anyplace else. So you did a wonderful job. You're an incredible public servant, and it's been a pleasure to work with you. Thank you.
I don't have a report other than I guess I'll ditto what some of the others have said. Having been a 28-and-a-half-year employee of the town, but I think me and Karen Rice are the two longest running employees here in the town. I will say, Joe is the 4th supervisor that I've worked with, and I can honestly say, I get choked up. I have thoroughly enjoyed working with this man. He truly has the best interest of this town in his heart. I've known Bob for years. And you're right, he doesn't speak often, but when he does, you listen. Because you know know he's got something good to say. So you're going to be missed on this board, and Joe, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Dave, for me too. Dina?
I don't want the camera on me while I'm doing this. No, I'm just kidding. So Joe, I've already, said how I feel, but I just want to say to Bob, congratulations, enjoy your retirement, and I liked working with you, and I couldn't just not get over how quiet you always were. And the other night at the Parks meeting, I couldn't believe how much you spoke, and I was like, wow. And you always kept like this straight face, and that anytime anything was going crazy, you were just, and you really just kept it together. So I wish you luck, and I know I'll be seeing you around, and especially during hunting season too. So that's all I have.
Thanks, Tina.
Okay.
All right, then we'll move on to the regular items on the agenda. Item A is, can I get a motion to adopt the local law to amend Lysander Town Code Sections 270-9I, 320-81A?
I'll move it. I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carried. Item B, can I get a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the 5-year intermunicipality agreement between the Board of Education of the Ballsville Central School District and the Town Board of the Town of Lysander, in which the school district will store motor vehicle fuel at its fuel storage tank and will sell fuel to the town to be used in vehicles owned by the town during the term of the agreement.
I'll move that. I'll second that.
Discussion? Brief discussion. Intermunicipal cooperation is important. When you have a municipality the size of the school district at your doorstep, and they put in a state-of-the-art fuel facility 400 yards from your terminal, it's natural that you look to form a partnership. The Village of Baldwinsville has had that relationship for years with the school district. They're a great organization to work with. They're more than willing to share that resource with the town. It's going to save us money in more ways than one, but it's also going to help us track expenses. Again, it's state-of-the-art. It was designed specifically to handle the type of trucks that we roll in the town of Lysander. So this is a pleasure to put out for motion. We've got discussion. All those in favor?
Well, and just one more additional things for the record. I mean, and this is the stuff you don't see, but this is fantastic because that means we can get out of the gasoline storage business. And if you know anything about gasoline or storage, I mean, it's underground, the tanks can leak and you get fined and you have to inspect them all the time. We're just get so out of that. And the school system, having the school system offer this to us, it's just fantastic. So I'm in total support of this.
Hey, Joe, the two amendments to this, sentence 3 of items 4 being scratched.
Yes.
And removed, and then item 13, there's a typo that needs to be changed to 2 as well.
Okay. The board heard those? Yes. Amendments?
Yes, I'm handling the dean at the end.
Yep, we've got a copy for you.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, there's a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? I'll vote 2, aye. Motion carried. Item C, can I get a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the proposal for modular comfort systems for the purchase of 2 new PTAC HVAC units for the office and break room in the highway garage in the amount of $6,000.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Item D has been tabled. Item E, can I get a motion to authorize the town supervisor to sign the 2020 Kentwood Senior Center agreement?
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Discussion. I'm honored to present this to the board. Kentwoods is an organization that is a model of intermunicipal cooperation. For over 40 years, this agreement's been signed by the village, town of Van Buren, and town of Lysander. It's a village-owned facility funded by the towns, and it does great work for the seniors in our community. I'm honored to put this motion up. Any other discussion? Bob does an excellent job representing the town on that board.
And I say this every time Camp Woods comes up, if you've not been there, go check it out. You don't have to be a senior to enjoy just to see the work and the happiness in that building. And it's just so neat that we have it here in our community.
All right, there's a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Before we go on to item 13, I did want to mention this. I wanted to mention this during my comments, but I got talking about that's what happens when you don't read from a script. Earlier tonight, we presented an amazing award to a first responder, Mr. Mullen. The first responding organizations in the town of Lysander, whether it's Cody, whether it's Seneca River, Belgium Cold Springs, the Northwest Fire District, which is made up of Lysander and Baldwinsville, or Phoenix, they all need help. They need help in volunteers. They need help in funding, because you never know when that next call might be your call. All those organizations need help. So if you have some time, if you were impressed by what you heard, the actions as far as Mr. Cullen, you've got a calling to get involved, do so. They're great organizations and they'd embrace you. So, that being said, we'll move on to item number 13. Any new business for the future board? Roman, Pete, Bob? All right. We don't need an executive session. Can I get a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting at 8:14?
I'll move that.
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor, say, or all those against, I'll vote no. Thank you for coming tonight. It's been an honor.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry